Thank you for joining us. Today we have an update on the Bearspaw South Feeder Main repair and impacts to citywide water service. We'll be hearing from General Manager of Infrastructure Services, Michael Thompson, and Director of Capital Priorities and Investment, Francois Bouchard. We'll hear their remarks and then there will be an opportunity to ask questions after. I'll now turn it over to General Manager Michael Thompson.
Good afternoon. It has been 1 week since we took the Bearspaw South Feeder Main out of service to complete urgent repairs. With the feeder main out of service, our ability to move treated drinking water across the city is significantly impacted. Because of our limited ability to move treated drinking water, we've instituted Stage 4 outdoor water restrictions, as well as requesting indoor water reductions while this urgent repair work is being completed. Over the past week, your actions have made a big difference in reducing our water use. Your efforts have brought our water usage down from approximately 564 million litres per day on August 24th to a low of 473 million litres on Sunday this past weekend. Leading up to this repair, the team took key learnings from June and looked at new ways to bring capacity and improve water distribution across the city. This is incredibly challenging as we have a complex water network with over 5,000 kilometers of pipe and many underground storage reservoirs or underground tanks where we store treated drinking water prior to pumping it to homes and businesses. One of the learnings was our ability to reconfigure existing pumps to reroute the flow of water. The team tried a new configuration to move water throughout the city and has been testing it for the last number of days. We have now completed testing this configuration and the team is confident that it is a sustainable solution for the remainder of the repair work. This means that we are now able to sustainably move an extra 35 million litres through the system every day. I would like to show you a graph that demonstrates our sustainable water use zone. Any water use under 485 million litres of water per day is sustainable, represented by the green bar on the graph. At this rate, we are comfortably able to refill our underground storage tanks overnight and have a good supply on hand for the next day. We can manage unanticipated events such as a large fire or other emergencies and take our pumps offline for required maintenance. The yellow zone occurs at a rate of 485 million litres of water to 500 million litres of water. At this rate, we have difficulty topping up underground storage tanks, unanticipated water needs become concerning, and we cannot take pumps offline for maintenance as we are pushing and straining the system at its maximum capacity. Any water use above 500 million litres of water per day is simply not sustainable. We are unable to replenish the underground storage tanks in your neighbourhoods overnight, and we are at a greater risk of running out of water before the urgent repairs are complete and the feeder main is brought back into service. Yesterday's water use was 505 million litres. We are unable to consistently replenish the underground storage tanks at this rate. While it's positive that we are able to move more water with our new configuration, it's imperative that we do all we can to reduce our water use and have demand drop to more sustainable levels. To be clear, outdoor water restrictions and indoor water saving measures are required to meet the new target and keep water use under 485 million litres per day. Our bylaw inspectors have been out over the weekend and we have issued 5 tickets for watering outdoors. The recipients of these tickets are each required to pay a $3,000 fine. Since the beginning of the water restrictions, there have been 755 complaints for inappropriate water use, including 521 for residential, 107 for commercial industrial, and 60 for multifamily residences. I would now like to ask Francois Bouchard to provide an update on the urgent repairs construction.
Thank you, GM Thompson, and good afternoon. Today I'll share the latest updates on our feeder main repairs. As of this morning, our construction remains on schedule to be completed by September 23rd. At sites 1 through 4 along 33rd Avenue Northwest and at Shoaldice Park, construction activities are underway on all 12 repair segments, Excavation is now complete at 11 repair segments, up from 10 yesterday. Installation of rebar and formwork continues as excavation is completed around repair segments. Concrete pouring has started at some of the repair segments. All excavation for these first 4 sites are estimated to be completed today. Pre-construction activities have started on Site 5 at 33rd Avenue and 86th Street Northwest, which is the final site on 33rd Avenue. Excavation in this area is expected to start today. Construction on Sites 6 through 8, located on 16th Avenue Northwest, remains scheduled to begin on Thursday, September 5th. As mentioned yesterday, to allow this work to proceed quickly and safely, 16th Avenue will be closed from 46th Street to the Bowness Road interchange on Thursday, with traffic being detoured onto Bowness Road. Bowness Road will be fully open in both directions with direct access to 16th Avenue and businesses. Our traffic plan will keep most business driveways open, allow for parking, and provide clear direction to help customers find their way. Free short-term parking is available throughout the community. We continue to work directly with those residents and businesses that are most impacted, and I encourage Calgarians to keep supporting Montgomery and Bowness businesses. I'll now pass it back over to General Manager Michael Thompson.
Thank you, Director Burchard. I'd like to thank Calgarians and our partners in Airdrie, Cetina, Chestermere, and Strathmore for your continued support and your water reduction efforts. We truly appreciate everything that you're doing to reduce your water use. I'd also like to thank the engineering and operational teams for their creativity in developing a solution that brought additional capacity to the system. I know the team will continue looking for innovative ways to increase the volume of water that we can provide. Please continue your water-saving efforts. Every drop counts. We know this is challenging, but it's necessary to see us through the end of these urgent repairs. Thank you for everything you're doing. I'll now turn it to Jamie to field questions from the media.
Okay. I get some clarification on those tickets. Were all 5 for residential, or were some broken down by were some businesses as well?
Yeah, a question on the 5 tickets issued and what the breakdown of residential versus non is. We don't have that information at this time. We'll work with our bylaw colleagues to get that and provide it to you.
And so, seeing water use above 450 million liter per day target. That target's changing now to 485. Is that your understanding?
So we can sustainably provide under 485 million liters of water per day. Between 485 and 500 million liters of water per day, we can provide that, but we're really straining our system. We're running everything at maximum capacity, and we don't have any opportunity to maintain the system. We have a number of weeks left to go, 3 weeks to complete these repairs. And so we really are focusing and asking if we can have everyone keep to that 485 target number. We've seen Calgarians reduce before we asked for these reductions. We were over 600 million liters per day. And so we've seen everyone be able to come together and reduce your indoor use and stop your outdoor water use, and we're asking you to continue that for the next 3 weeks.
So there's one follow-up on that. The water use has been above that threshold. You mentioned it strains the system there. How long can the city continue at that threshold? We've heard, we're going to run out of water, but what would the trigger be for like a state of local emergency and other maybe more stringent restrictions on water use? How long can the city continue before something like that gets triggered with the current daily water use we're seeing?
With where we've been at for the last week, we've really started to trend in the right direction, especially over the weekend where we got down to that 472 million liters as our low point. And that's a space that's very sustainable for us, and we don't have to worry about triggering or water losses at that rate. Again, it's anything when we're over that 500 million liters per day. Every day that we're over 500, we reduce our capacity for storage in our underground tanks, and we have the system put at more risk.
Michael Phoenix from City News. Question about, you had mentioned 755 complaints for water misuse. How do you respond to these complaints coming in? Why is there so many, it seems there seems to be an abundance of misuse complaints. How does the city react to those kind of numbers?
Again, I think before we asked Calgarians to reduce their water indoors and put in stage 4 watering restrictions, we were over 600 million liters per day of use. And so we've really seen that number come down, and we're appreciative of all the work that Calgarians are doing. And as we move forward, we just want to really make sure that we're getting that message out, that people are hearing about this, that everyone knows about it, and that we know we have 3 weeks left to complete these urgent repairs.
Michael, is that the reason why the numbers are at 755 in your humble opinion?
We're not sure why the numbers are out. We're doing everything we can to make sure we're getting that message out. You've seen constant media briefings, live streams over the weekend, variable message boards up across the city, really getting out in communities and with social media. We'd really like to make sure everyone's getting that message. We know people may have been away for the summer and they're just coming back at the start of September. So really want to make sure everyone's hearing that we need those stage 4 water restrictions for the next 3 weeks.
To jump in on my colleague's question, can you maybe detail a bit more? Is it a question of days, of when are we going to pass that turning point of, okay, we've been passing the threshold of 450, now 470 something millions of water, and if we keep going for a week, then we'll have the water boiling at first. Can you give us more of an idea of, is it a question of days? Is it a question of we've got 500 million liters left in the reservoir? Just so people have a better idea.
Yeah, it's a question of really what are we looking at as we go forward. And so with the changes we've made to the system, we're able to move again and provide 485 million liters of drinking water sustainably as we go forward. Between that 485 million liters and 500, we're really starting to strain the system. We reduce our ability to refill reservoirs, and we're running everything at 100%. That means if anything fails in the system, we're gonna have larger problems. And over 500 million liters a day, we simply can't refill those reservoirs. And so there's not a simple number of days that we can provide. It's really those thresholds that we need to be looking at. And we're happy as we think about the last week, Calgarians have really reduced their water use. We need to make sure we're trending that down and staying underneath that 485 million liters per day.
If I could just follow up on that. We've passed the 500 million threshold yesterday, yet the taps haven't run dry. So is it like if we pass that many days in a row, or do you have it better?
Yeah, so the question was really around sustainability. And so for the last number of days, we've actually been running in that 475 million liters per day. So we've been able to refill those underground reservoirs, which give us that capacity as we go forward. It's every time we're over 500 million liters per day, we can't refill those underground reservoirs and we deplete our storage underground. Maybe I'll ask Director Bouchard, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
I'd like to ask a question. How is it being communicated to hotels? I mean, this is, tourist season. So, lots of people are running showers and baths and all of those individual units. And we have a lot of hotels in these cities. So is this being communicated?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And so the question really, how are we communicating with hotels? And I'll just say we've been communicating with the hotel and hospitality industry as soon as we learned about the need for these urgent repairs and letting them know about the upcoming work and working closely with them so that they're also reducing their water use indoors by 25%. We've been doing this not only with the Hotel Association and with the industry, but with many different industries, really working with our industrial partners across the city to let everyone know about the restrictions and to find out how they're going to be reducing their water use by 25%.
Michael, I think that something that we were kind of trying to get at is that I think some people in Calgary feel that there's kind of a cry wolf about this, like don't go over 450 or taps could run dry, but that we've been over it several times before, and so I think there's also partnered with fatigue, this sort of, being more relaxed on the water restrictions this time around. So what would you say to motivate people who say, hey, we have been over the threshold several times before and nothing happened?
Yeah, I think we're really happy with the work the team's done to increase that threshold from that 450 to 485. And as you saw in that graph I showed, that maximum 500 million liters per day. That's how for the last few days we've been able to sustain that and fill those reservoirs back up. With respect to fatigue, I know no one wants to be here. I can tell you we don't want to be here either. None of us are happy that we have to do these urgent repairs, but we know we have to complete these now before water flows into the Glenmore Reservoir dry up and before we have another catastrophic failure like we saw in June. And so we have a very short period of time to complete these repairs. We appreciate everyone's patience as we do this. I can tell you I was out in the community of Bowness walking along 33rd Avenue and looking at the repairs with the team yesterday. And I'm just really appreciative of to the residents in that area. We've taken the entire road in front of their homes, and they're so supportive as we're doing this work because they understand the need to get this work done right now as well. And so thank you to everyone who's impacted by the construction and the repairs, and thank you to everyone across the city who's in this with us. We don't want to be here with you, but we're happy that we are here with you right now, getting this work done so that we don't have to think about this through the winter.
Just to follow up to that, 45 increase, that's great, but we were at 505 yesterday when people got back from the long weekend. So if we're at 505 again today for the next couple of days, is the city looking at shipping in some water from outside districts? What's the contingency plan?
So we can't really bring additional water in from other areas. We have the 2 water treatment plants that we're working with. And as I said before, we're working with all of our industrial customers to look at how they can reduce their water use. And again, I ask everyone, there's simple things. I've said it before, but if everyone in Calgary skips flushing the toilet 1 time a day, that would save 8.4 million liters of water, enough to fill up 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And so we're so close to that target and where we need to be. If we can all do those little things for a few more weeks, we'll get through this together.
You're doing that visualization so that people can get a visual picture of, flushing the toilet. Just don't do it once, right? How many more weeks are we to turning the taps on and nothing's coming out?
Again, the question is how long will it be until we run out of water? And the real focus is that with the increased capacity that we've brought to the system at 485 million liters right now, and we can bump up to that 500 million liters in that critical zone, we're able to supply that amount. We're just really pushing the system between 485 and 500. And so we don't have a timeline for when we would run out of water. It really depends on the storage in the reservoirs and the demand that we see across the city. But we know Calgarians can do this. We've done it before. We did it in June. We've been doing it last week. We only have 3 weeks left to go.
Can you just give us clarification on that configuration you folks have been testing and that you guys are now implementing? That you guys able to increase that threshold?
Yeah, so thanks. The question's really around what did we do to be able to add 35 million more liters to the system? And it's really about taking lessons we learned from June. And when we learned about these urgent repairs, the team started to plan out different ways to configure the system. And so we've actually turned the way that we flow water through pipes, done some work in some of our pump stations to be able to try this out. We weren't sure if it would be sustainable. We've tried it out for a little bit. We know that we can sustain it now. And so it's thanks to the work that those operational teams were thinking about. How can we use our existing infrastructure, make a few tweaks to it to flow water more effectively and more efficiently as we go forward?
Any other questions?
Just, will the return to school, is that going to impact anything?
I think over the last number of weeks, as we've really been messaging for this planned shutdown, we've been asking everyone to do full loads of laundry as you get ready to return to school. I can tell you with 3 teenage boys now out of school, I know how much laundry there was going back to school. And so really just ask again every household to make sure when you're doing that laundry, doing full loads, and only do the laundry required while we're working through these urgent repairs.
Just to follow up to that, is there like a difference between getting back into the routine, obviously it started for so many people today, and then the question from my colleague about, tourist season, that's kind of slowly winding down. Is there a balance that you guys think of in consideration in this, or you just kind of take it and keep the messaging the same and just hope those numbers stay at a sustainable place?
Maybe I'll ask Director Bouchard if you want to talk about typical water use through September.
Absolutely. So in September, what we typically see is as we go through September, water consumption without water restrictions will gradually decrease. And the reason for that is that people will progressively start doing outdoor water use. But once you factor outdoor water use out, what you find is that typically the amount of water that people use indoors is consistent. People have their routines, their habits, and we don't see significant shifts in terms of indoor water use through the seasons. The real difference is that outdoor water use, and right now the need to conserve, reduce our water uses indoors to meet the needs of the system right now as we do the repairs.
So that's the nugget,
How does the,
isn't it? That's the nugget, that there's less water going to be used outdoors, so everything's going to be okay.
No. Sorry, the reason that this isn't the nugget is that we know that we need to see compliance of the outdoor water restrictions so that there is no outdoor water use. And with these repairs in progress, we also need those water reductions indoors. We need both.
how does water use typically change during a heat wave like we're expecting in a couple of days?
So we do see an effect on water consumption during a heat wave, and part of that is that we do have air conditioning units, especially the large industrial units that do actually use water as part of their cooling system, and therefore temperatures as they go up, as you saw in June, as you saw during the summer under the different water restrictions, we saw an increase during hot days and then a drop during the cooler days.
Okay. We will see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. at the Water Center.
Thank you.